Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Crypto Insider channel. I am the Crypto Insider, back with another cryptocurrency video for you, coming from Austin, Texas, on a very nice Saturday morning. We're going to talk about a few things today. Ripple is launching a tool to report fraud. I want to get into some of the specifics in the article. It's interesting to me because I've seen comments on Twitter before saying that Ripple has the ability to reverse transactions and all this stuff like that, and they don't. So I wanted to get into that and talk about it a little bit. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency prices. Of course, we didn't see the weekend turnaround that I was expecting and hoping for. So, I get some things right and some things wrong. But I do think that if the prices go low enough, that we will see greed-based buying. Our in the weeds discussion today is a controversial one. We're going to talk about Bernie versus Trump and a potential matchup and how that could affect cryptocurrency prices. And what brought this on was a friend of mine's. She's playing for the Bernie rally today in Austin. She's opening up for that rally, and it got me to thinking about politics and what a presidency, a re-election of Donald Trump could mean, as opposed to what a Bernie Sanders could possibly mean. And I don't usually like making political videos because I made a video and I briefly mentioned Trump in it, I don't know, for a couple of minutes, and I got unsubscribes. I got comments that said, "You're a Trump-loving Nazi. I am unsubscribing." And then I got comments. This is the same article, mind you. Why do you hate our president? People are so polarized, and they hear what they want to hear in whatever you have to say about politics, without really hearing what you're saying. So it's a weird place to comment in and to make speculations on. And this is all speculations. I'm not a financial advisor, certified, registered investment advisor. I have worked in the fintech space for 17 years, and hopefully I can, bring some of that experience to the table when I make these videos. So before we jump into any of that, we do make a donation for each new subscriber to the channel. So if you do want to subscribe or like the content, please do. And the next time we make a video, we will send a small amount of XRP to the @GoodXRP group, who breaks it down and sends it off to these 9 charities. They're all good charities. If you want to check them out, you can by looking up these Twitter tags or Twitter handles. Let's jump right into live coin watch so we can kind of look at the overall market. We generally do that first on the channel. Things are, down 0.7 for XRP to 27 cents. I think we're up from the last time I did a video. Weren't we at 26.7? I don't know. But down 0.46 cents or 0.46% on the hour. So not a terrible, awful drop, but no gains either. So hopefully there's some action that's spurred on. There's really not a lot of big gainers. I think I saw earlier that Litecoin was up. I don't know if it still is. This is just when I was looking at it earlier this morning. I don't even know where it is on the list. But we do have some things. Atom up 5.6%. There are some gainers, but nothing that we strongly advocate for here. Most of our positions are down. H bar is down. Our cryptohopper is pretty much in the negative for the past few days. So yeah, Litecoin's up 1.8% since yesterday. Bitcoin dominance gaining about 0.3% since our last video. So still 62.3. I think it gained. Yeah, it gained a little bit. 63.4 actually. So Bitcoin still leading the way, still the tide that raises all the boats or sinks them all when it goes out. So, that's one thing we always have to deal with all the good news in the world doesn't seem to move the XRP price. And a lot of that is due to Bitcoin dominance, and I would say probably some of it's also due to whale manipulation. I'm going to have some coffee.
Mic off, mic on.
Sorry about that. This is not a professional news show. I just, sort of podcast my way through these things. So please bear with me if I take some coffee or do something that maybe somebody else that's making videos wouldn't do. XRP down 0.75 on the hour according to Coinalyze. Well, let's refresh it just to make sure. 15.59% on the 30 days. We have one moving average that's turned green, but we're still oversold down here on our oscillators. It's kind of a meh weekend. As long as we don't, suffer a huge drop over the next between now and the next video, I'll be happy. I mean, I'm not expecting XRP to go up to some insane amount overnight. So I put that one video out that said why $2,000 in XRP is a warning against those price predictions, and a lot of people just saw $2,000 in the title and started commenting. It's pretty funny. If you look at some of the comments, they're like, "You're insane predicting a 2,000." I'm not predicting that. I'm warning against it. But people just sort of go off headlines, I guess. All right, from Bitcoinist.com, Ripple launches new XRP fraud reporting procedure. Trevor Smith is the author of this one. Fraud can be reported, but funds not reversed. Ripple pushing to become leader in financial space. And I think this is, as Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple launch these initiatives to educate legislators and different people, policymakers in the space, and they lobby, they probably want to be able to show that they have a mechanism for dealing with fraud, at least a reporting mechanism, since they can't reverse transactions. And XRP users are not Ripple customers. Thus, an unusual activity report can be used to help identify and stop fraud, but not necessarily compensate victims. So they are pushing to become a leader in the financial space, is what I basically just got done saying. And they want to be able to show, probably to legislators and various boards, that they are taking fraud seriously and at least have a mechanism for reporting it. And, they may even, once regulation comes out and things are adopted and put in place, they may be able to leverage that into something that most blockchains end up doing anyway, reporting or providing suspicious reports to some government board or other. And banks do this now. If you go into your bank, and I don't even think it used to be $10,000 according to the Bank Secrecy Act, but really, if you bring in $9,000 in cash and you've never had a large cash deposit, that could be reported as suspicious as well. I don't think that it definitely has to meet that $10,000 threshold, but yeah, it is something that banks are already doing. Your average financial institution on the street, so it makes sense that they probably will have the same sort of things for crypto once there is adoption. All right, so if you're not interested in politics and you were just here to listen to me bloviate about cryptocurrency prices or the market in general, now's the time you can tune out, because we're going to talk about politics. And this is, again, I'm not supporting any particular candidate. I'm just speculating about what the cryptocurrency markets might do based on an election, a hypothetical election, because we don't even know if Mr. Bernie Sanders will be the nominee. He's looking pretty good in the polls and performing pretty good in some of the primaries, but you never know how these things will go, because politics is politics, and it changes. And my personal preferences really aren't relevant here. There's a lot more to being a good president than the cryptocurrency space, in my opinion. So there are a lot of other things that you should consider before voting. And this is going to sound sort of like a cop out, but I think both have the potential to be good for the cryptocurrency market. And when I'm speaking in terms, we'll talk about Donald Trump first. I mean, when you're talking about Republicans and Democrats, it's an odd thing because we don't talk about them the way we used to. Today's Republicans are not Barry Goldwater Republicans that we were used to. Oh, they're not even Reagan Republicans that we were used to. And today's Democrats are nothing like the Ann Richards Democrats or even JFK. I mean, if JFK hadn't died, they wouldn't even let him serve coffee at one of today's DNC events. He wouldn't even get through the door with his policies. So it certainly wouldn't be on the debate stage. So everything has kind of changed maybe from what you're used to. I don't know how much you keep up with politics, but everybody is a political expert on Facebook or Twitter, and most of these folks couldn't name 5 Supreme Court justices, past or present. They're doing good if they even know who their own governor is. They don't know anyone at the local level that they're voting for, but they know all about Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders because they watch either Fox News or Rachel Maddow and Bill Maher. So it's a really weird time to be in the political space. In any case, the way I see it is Donald Trump is good for traditional business. He's been there for 4 years, or he will have been there for 4 years. He's established. Corporations know they got a huge tax cut with Donald Trump. He has good economy numbers. I mean, you may want to argue with me that Obama started it rolling with some act in 2008 or 2009, but honestly, a lot of the credit's going to go to Donald Trump. It doesn't matter what president did what. It just matters who the president is when the economic recovery happens. I'll give you an example. Bill Clinton was the president during the tech boom. A whole new market, a whole new industry was created. And because of that tech boom, we had a pretty good economy. We had a surplus. Bill Clinton was handed the credit for that solely. It didn't matter. A piece of toast could have been president during those Clinton years, and the market still would have boomed. That doesn't matter. But since he happened to be there at the time, he gets the credit. That's just the way it works. It's the same way with gas prices. When gas prices go high, it's all the president's fault for some reason. America is a weird place for politics if you're not from here, and a lot of people don't really understand the way the government works. But getting back to it, Trump is established with businesses. And we do know that these financial institutions, a lot of them want to custody crypto. A lot of them want to get into Bitcoin hedge funds and uh, offer Bitcoin swaps and derivatives and things like that. We know that that's what they want. We know Trump is business friendly. In a second Trump term could possibly spike a little bit of volume because of that, or at least help pave the way, especially if good regulations come into play. I'll believe it when I see it, regardless of who the president is. And all those things could combine to cause a perfect storm where we have more institutional adoption of these cryptocurrencies and more applications and promotions happening with them. And we're going to see it anyway. It's going to happen regardless of who wins the election. But but I think Trump has a good chance for that happening, or because he's financial institution friendly, and he's going to do what they want. They're going to have meetings. They're going to lobby. They've already been doing it. Ripple spent money lobbying the Trump administration. There's organizations in place. That will continue, and I think we will see the adoption increase under a Trump presidency. Well, how can Bernie Sanders help the cryptocurrency market? Well, unwittingly. probably, because the financial markets are not going to like Bernie Sanders at all, not one bit. Um, he's going to go after billionaires and millionaires. And so you're going to see something called capital flight, meaning people are going to put money in different things that Bernie Sanders and his potential administration can't touch. And a lot of that might be gold or precious metals. A lot of offshore accounts are going to see a surge in popularity if Bernie Sanders becomes the president. And crypto, I guess, will probably see that as well. People will want to have a way to move their assets around so that they are not big blazing targets for Bernie Sanders. There's flawed ideologies in both of these parties and in both of these men, in my opinion. Uh, when it comes to Sanders, this we want to get the rich, we want to get the billionaires. It's never worked in human history. You don't get the rich. You just don't. You may get them temporarily in a coup or some type of revolution, but then very quickly it becomes meet the new boss, same as the old boss, and the people that overthrew are now just as bad as the people that were in charge before. So it's a never-ending cycle. It's a never-ending story throughout governmental history and civilization. It happens over and over and over and over again, and of course we never learn from it. But cryptocurrency is not the reason why I would or would not vote for either of these candidates. Um, Bernie, I think, is going to have a hard time if he does become president. So the financial impact may not be that severe because he's not going to be able to get his plans through. He's just not. And everybody is afraid of this term socialist. There are probably 100 different forms of socialism, and you could argue that having any sort of government at all, any sort of tax structure at all, is socialism to a point. Um, but everybody immediately goes for the Nazis, and I don't think that's what's in Bernie's mind as much as some of these countries like Denmark and Sweden that admittedly have a good. People are happy there. People like living there, and they have a good quality of life. But they also have some very other big financial problems that their system has created for them. So it's not all roses in these countries. But I think that's more what somebody like a Bernie Sanders or an AOC is envisioning, and I don't know that it's something that they would be able to easily do, even if they win the presidency, because you saw it with Trump. He wanted to immediately build the wall and dismantle the Affordable Care Act. Well, he became president, but he couldn't do either of those things, not very well and not for a long time. It's not like you become president and you just get to do whatever you want. You've got to build support. You've got to convince people. There's a lot of backroom deals and pork spending and amendments and things that go into our lawmaking. And Bernie Sanders seems to be very ideological, and so is Trump. So there are things that just will not, Bernie Sanders is not going to compromise on. And, you can argue that is a good thing if you're voting from an ideological perspective and you like Bernie Sanders. You can say that's a good thing. He's not going to compromise. He's uncompromising. We like that. But if that's your take, you also have to realize there's a whole lot of stuff he's not going to be able to get done because of it. So with that being said, because he's not going to be able to get a lot done should he become president, it may not have the hit on the financial market that I'm expecting that it will. And you may not see that capital flight because he could end up not being able to enact his policies. But in a perfect storm where Democrats sweep everything in November, then and they're willing to go along with Bernie, then I think you will definitely see some big capital flight out of the USA. It's just my take on it. Again, I'm not advocating for either one of these people. It's still, however you want to look at it, it's still old rich white men yelling at each other on a debate stage come October. Um, but that's where it is. I don't know who is your presidential pick without getting nasty and without telling me that I'm a Nazi or some other such awful words because I said something you didn't like about Bernie or Trump. Who is your pick and why do you think they are good for the crypto market? Go ahead and leave that in the comments. We will pop up some videos for you to continue your crypto insider journey. There's also a subscribe button. If I've offended you horribly with this political discussion, feel free to unsubscribe. There's no requirement that you listen to or like the videos. If you don't like them, that's fine. There's a lot of people doing this in the space, and maybe you'll find somebody that more closely agrees with your ideas and positions. Uh, which, is limiting in my opinion, but you're welcome to go find them. So we'll be back with another video, probably tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Monday. Thanks.